Hello, hello. How's everybody's Sunday going? Just have to pull up my other page. Just a moment. How's everybody's Sunday going? I don't want to hear myself again. There we go. How's everything going, guys? Hope your Sunday's going well. Today we are going to be talking about the Spellbinders Oriental Poppy. This thing is gorgeous, let me tell you. And very, very simple dies. Really, really easy to use. All you need is your die cutting machine and some paper, and voila. So this one builds, I mean, of course you can layer it flat. It does not have to be curved and curled. But this one makes some pretty cool three-dimensional kind of blooms. So we're going to have some fun building those today. So, hello, Beth. So we're going to have fun. This is a product that came out this winter from Tim Holtz. This is the Distress Gray Tone on Tone Wood Grain, which is really cool. There's also a black version as well. Yeah, aren't they pretty, Beth? Pretty flowers. So let's go and make a card today. So I have kind of already pre-prepped because die cutting on camera is a pain. All right, so let's put this aside. Actually, let's talk about the die first. So the die set is composed of a few dies, and they're actually put together, so which is great. It's actually etched in the die that you only need 1 times this die set to make your bloom. We have a couple of leaves, the inner workings of the bloom in the center, and you even have a stem as well to use. So very, very simple dies, easy to use, easy to construct. Okay, so with that being said, we have a smaller and a larger. I don't know if we'll use that, but there's the stem. There's the simple leaf. And then we have the leaf that's a little bit more detailed, like the tri-pointed leaf. And then there's these. I'm not sure. I don't think these are the stamen. I'm not sure 100% what they're called. There's 2 different sizes. And then we have the wee little babies, which are the center, which you can see there. And they are a die set of 2. Okay. So what we're going to do first is we're going to color these. Because I've put them out on white cardstock. You can, of course, color this in, or if you can print this out in, holy jeez, you can die cut this out in whatever you want. I just chose white because then we can make them whatever color. So I'm just going to put some temporary adhesive on this scrap piece of paper. We're going to take a little bit of the stickiness away by sticking it to my arm. And then we're going to lay these blooms down. We're going to lay our leaves down. And this just basically holds it in place, just makes coloring easy. And I think we will color this just in case we do need it. And of course, I just made these in black cardstock because it was just easier. Okay, let's see if I can get you guys coming a little bit closer here. We'll see if my camera works today. We're going to use my favorite medium today, which is Copic markers. And we are kind of going to go with like a blushy pink. So I'm going to start out by coloring with an R30. Very, very light pink. And of course you can be messy with this. You don't have to color within the lines, just get color on there. You can definitely cut this out in a pink cardstock to begin with. You don't have to do it this way. You could even do some really cool blooms with some pattern paper, which might be kind of unique. Just find something that's really cool. It might even have like a little polka dot or something like that on it, which would be really cute. Okay. Hello, Jenny. Soggy Roseville. That's funny. Happy New Year to you too. Okay, so I'm flipping these babies over. Okay. Because we're going to curl and give these things a little texture, I don't know 100% if anything's going to show. So I am going to color the underside. And again, the beauty of a colored cardstock, you don't have to do this, right? Because it's already all the way through. But this is the way we're going today. Okay. So this is just get a base color down. Okay. I'm going to turn them over to the right sides again. You don't need to color that back again. I'm going to start with actually my darkest pink. This is my R21. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to start in the center and we're going to flick out. Okay. And I like to color like the entire center of the bloom. And just make your lines long and short and fat and wide. Just kind of do it at random because, you know, flowers are pretty random out in nature. Like such. Again, I'm going to color the inside of that bloom just to cover my tushki. Just in case I need to do that. Okay. That is our darkest. I am going to go a little bit lighter, and this is just kind of to blend out those streaky marks. And again, this is like super easy. You could do this with any coloring medium too. You could do this with watercolor. I would suggest using watercolor paper even for that instance. Use what you got. Pencil crayons, Crayolas, they all work. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, let's color our leaves. I'm going to start with, actually I'm going to start with our darkest. YG97. And this is almost to accentuate the veins. That's all I'm going to use this one for. Of course, work in the direction that you're most comfortable. Okay, there's our darkest. We're going to go in with our medium tone, our YG95. And we're just going to kind of branch out the center like such. Again, I'm going to rotate it. I probably should have put them the same direction, but oh well. Down the center. And then we're going to use our lightest to just kind of blend everything. YG93. YG93. And I can, of course, I don't need to. And you can do them in any order that you want. I'm just doing them this way because we can. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, and then I'm going to do a base coat on this little fella here. Whee! He doesn't want to stay. Apparently he doesn't want to play today. Okay. We're going to go back to our medium YG95. And I'm just going to put a little bit of color down kind of one side. And we're making it really simple. There we go. You could blend that, but we don't need to, I don't think. Okay, let's peel off everything here. Whee! Get that and our leaves. Voila. Okay, now we're going to bring in kind of a funky tool. So this is just a foam board, okay? It's even thicker than like a mouse pad. I've had this one for years. So we're gonna pull all our little pretties up here, including, you know what? We forgot to color our diddy doodies for the center. Let's do that first. Okay. So I'm going to start off with our green. Okay. This is just YG93. This is the lightest color that we used. Okay. Then we're going to add just a tiny bit of detail to one of these. So let's bring it in to the center here. So I'm going to take a Copic friendly like multi-liner. This is a 0.3, and I'm going to kind of draw all these kind of divided marks across it. So if you look at the inner workings of a poppy, it kind of has this center to it that kind of looks divided in this way. So this is a funny little detail. You don't have to do this, but this makes it look that much better. Then I'm going to take a V15 and I'm going to trace those black lines. And if you look at a poppy, sometimes there's like a hue of purple in them. So that's where the purple's coming into. And let's see if I can bring this close to the camera and not stick in my nails. Okay. It's fine, the camera here. There we go. So that's our little doohickey in the middle. Okay. It eventually becomes kind of the cap on the seed pod of the poppy. Okay. So we're going to bring in a tool called a stylus. And the purpose of the foam board is to give you a little bit of pushing, because like on a hard surface, it's just hard. But if you push on a foam, it indents, which allows you to indent your paper. So let's start with the black parts of the poppy here. And all I'm going to do is just kind of roll it in a circle, because I want it to become a little cup. Okay? So here's the kind of the original version, the flat version. And now it has dimension. So it looks like a little cup. Okay? You can get styluses in all different sizes of ends. They have big ones, they have really tiny ones, they have anything in between. Okay, so the one that we have in the shop is the Crafter's Companion set. And of course it has 2 different ends on each stylus. So there's 6 in total. But I wanted something a little smaller, so I went back to my stash. But just so you know, they are available in the shop, and they're a great tool to have on hand. Okay, let's go to our seed bod caps, okay? So this one, I want you to flip it to the back side, and we're going to make it so that it's kind of cupped upwards when it's applied. This one doesn't matter which side, actually, because you can't even really see this one. This is more for dimension. So your top of that seed pod is bowed up. So it's like this. Okay? The other one doesn't matter, but you need some kind of cup. Okay? And then you can take your leaves, and I'm going to flip these ones over. And you can kind of work them all about, kind of break those fibers within the paper. It also makes it easier to transform your paper into something that's a little bit more three-dimensional. So this one I've cupped up from underneath, so now it goes like this. Okay, and then the single leaf. Again, you can work those paper fibers. Okay, paper is awesome. You can manipulate it lots. And this is only like an 80-pound paper, so it's really, really light. Okay, and then if you want to smooth out the end and make it go the other way, you can do that. You can do it and work it from either side of the paper. So this one here, we want that little bulbous part. I'm just showing you. I don't think we'll use this one, but I'll show you how to manipulate it as well. And you could use a smaller stylus on this as well. And I'm just basically cupping it. So there we go. Has a little bit more dimension. Okay, let's work on our lovely blooms now that we've got all of our greenery and our innards done. This time I'm going to do a little bit working from this side, and then I'm going to flip it over and work it from the other side too. Again, I want to do this just to break up those paper fibers so I can make it do what I want it to do. So you can manipulate it as much as you want. Okay, so I've got it now so that the petals are reverse bowls. Okay. And we're going to do the same to this. We're going to manipulate the paper, break those fibers. And the reason why the stylus works is because there's no point to it, right? It's like a little ball on a stick. So it's not going to punch holes in your project or your paper because there's nothing really to punch holes with. Because that round surface just makes it easier to not go through that paper. So, I mean, you could manipulate your paper and break down your paper with your hands, your fingers. They definitely can do that. But this tool just makes it really fast. Okay, I'm just going to manipulate the center of our bloom so it's a little bit flatter. Okay, now Mr. Tweezer to the rescue. We want to distress the edges a little bit and curl them down. So even though this is a straight edge, you can manipulate that paper now that you've kind of softened those fibers and just play. Or throw it. So I'm just taking the tweezers and just kind of bending those edges down. And of course, if you don't like that, you can manipulate them with your fingers or even your stylus tool. Just go back and work those ends a little bit. But I'm just pinching and, you know, like tucking it under. So this just adds to the more realistic look to your bloom. Now, if you wanted to use this, because of course this would indicate that it's a closed bloom, what you would do is you would make one of these and then you would pull it up. You would manipulate it so it's almost closed and wrinkled, like so that your petals are kind of folded upon one another to indicate that it's a closed bloom. Okay, so that's how you would use this piece here. Okay, I hope that makes some sense. Again, we're just playing. And if you don't like the crease marks that your tool makes, just take that stylus to them and take that and round them out a bit. Get rid of a little bit more of that distressing. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can also take one of these. So this is another one, and manipulate it a bit. So you're breaking the fibers down a little bit. So this is just a naked one here. Okay, do both sides. Don't worry about creases. And then take this and fold it up and make it wrinkly. So like crumple it up in your hand, undo it, and then crumple it a different way with different folds. Again, you can manipulate it, and that will help add detail and distress to your blooms. So again, to get that closed bloom, you just kind of tuck everything inside and wrap it like such. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. but then that becomes your closed bloom on the end of this, if that makes any sense. You could also cut your petals down if you wanted to, if you think it's too fat. But you could do that. So the more that you manipulate it, the softer the paper gets, and it's a lot easier to play with too. So, again, great tools. All right, let's push this up. Okay. We need to work on the background for this because we're going to get a little bit messy. So let's actually put this aside. We need a piece of our gray two-tone wood grain cardstock. So that's not going to be the size we want. So let's trim this down. And what size? I'm just going to, if I can find my pencil. There you are. We'll just cut it there. And good old Tonic guillotine trimmer. I highly recommend one of these if you don't have one. They are the best color ever. Okay, we're going to use my splat box. And you know what we also need to do? We need to cut a circle. Because we're going to need a circle. So let's cut a circle. Just use whatever your favorite circle dies are. Mine just happen to be Catherine Pooler because that's what I have. Okay, so I'm just going to die cut just a single itty bitty circle. Just a little piece of temporary tape there. Sorry, I'm going to do this off camera because it's such a pain to bring it on camera. Simple. Okay. Here we go. My plates are wanting to go everywhere. Okay, knock off all the crud from my plates. I really need to wash them. Yes, this is a new product that has come out, Beth. There are a number of companies that do actually have a white version. So this is actually, I believe this is printed into the texture as well, because it does have darker lines, and then the surface that sits above is lighter, so I'm pretty sure that they add ink to this. Okay, I need my splat box, and all this is just a cardboard box that I've cut down the sides. So, nothing fancy schmancy here. Okay, I am going to bring in, one moment here. Okay, I have a little paint palette here. This thing is freaking ancient. It's probably 15 years old. We need a little bit of paint. This is just good old black acrylic paint. You could use distressed paint, whatever kind of floats your boat. And I'm just going to add just like one little teeny drip drop of water. That's it. Okay, now this is my tool of choice. This is my black paint. Okay. And I'm just going to mix this up. I have a paintbrush for black paint and a paintbrush for white paint. So good old dollar store, or use ones that you're going to throw out. The reason why this is my tool of choice for splatter is because I don't like big blobbies. And a toothbrush gives you way finer lines, or finer dots and spray than a paintbrush or any other tool. So that's why I use this. We're going to use this again on our bloom, but I'm going to set it aside. Now I can just let these dry. So see how very, very fine that splatter is. That's why I use a toothbrush. It's my go-to, 100% go-to. Okay. Splat box away. You know what? I am going to take 2 seconds and just go and wash my hand. I'm right next to the kitchen, so 1 second, guys. You can take a look at the card. I didn't totally wash them really hard, but at least they're better than they were. I still got paint under there, but that's okay. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we want to assemble our flower parts. So let's bring them back in. Okay. So you'll want a nice liquid glue for this. We're going to go back to my tried and true, my Bearly Arts. And we're going to start by putting our bloom together. So, and you can use glue dots for this too. I'm going to put a big glob of glue in the center. And then you just kind of want to cover up kind of the holes. See, 3 holes? Use your bloom and cover up the 3 holes. Okay? And you can manipulate and scrunch and twist and everything a few extra times. Okay. Simple so far, right? Okay, we have 2 sizes of the black part. So again, we're just going to put a good dollop down there, and we're going to put the larger of the 2 down. And you can just press this with your finger, tweezers, whatever works for you. Okay, then we're going to take that secondary one, which is just a tiny bit smaller, and you want to kind of place it in between so that the black pieces don't match up, right? Because if you put them over top of each other, then the detail disappears. Okay, this is the secret. So we have our little baby, if I can get him flipped over, here with that mark. We need to put this little fella in first, okay? So you're going to match the cups. So this is a cup. All of these pieces are cupped, okay? Put this baby down first. Get him stuck. Okay, he's in there. Now this is the secret. Okay, take your glue and you're going to go all around the edges of your little green bowl or whatever. You can leave it non-colored too. So you're going to just do the edges. Here it is. You're going to take your little poppy part and you're going to go, that's not what you want to happen. Oh, golly gee, it's got glue on it. Oh well, wipe it off, you're good. Okay, this stuff dries clear anyway. What you want to do is you want to put that disc on top of, showing your details. So again, remember, it goes this way. So it's a reverse bowl. Okay, and you just line it up with that lower piece. And what it does is the base one gives it a cup, so it lifts it up, and then the top piece makes it stick out like a reverse bowl. So you're just making kind of like a circle, basically. Okay, hope that makes sense. And we're going to glue these on as we glue our flower on. We're not going to use this part. Okay, not today. All right, we need these little fellows. Let me put my pin in my glue before we go any farther. Okay. We have our base. I'm going to grab a piece. I'm hoping I have a piece of black cardstock here. And if you don't like to measure, here's your trick. Okay, so I want to put a really thin, see, I want to put a thin base or a mat on this. So take your paper. Okay, da 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 da. Whoops. I'm gonna bust out everything. Okay, take your paper and make sure that you have it jammed into one corner equally with an equal mat on those two close corners. Okay, and then you're going to bring in your trimmer. Bring in your trimmer. And you're basically going to mimic whatever width on your remainder two sides. So line it up. There we go. And then trim your fourth side. So you don't have to measure, because measuring sometimes is a pain in the tush. And you get an even mat. Okay, that's pretty darn even. I did good. Okay. So I am going to, you know what? We need to splatter my bloom, because I really like the way the splatter kind of ties it. Actually, you know what? No, we'll leave it, because I'll have to pull out the splat box again. That's okay. All right. So on my original, I have the word hello. So I was trying to look for a hello somewhere in the store, but I thought, why not use your own writings? You can absolutely stamp this, but I thought, you know, it might be kind of neat to use your own handwriting. And if you don't know how to use cursive, that's okay. You could absolutely spell it out in just simple printing, whatever kind of works for you. So I'm just going to do this in pencil first, because I can always erase my pencil. Trying to make it as even height as possible. There we go. And then you just take whatever your favorite black marker is, and you could use something that's fat or thin or calligraphy, just kind of whatever you have in your stash. And if you don't like the way it came out, then erase it, start again, or find that stamp that suits that card. You know, happy birthday, whatever. And then to make mine look more scrolly or more ornate, just going to fatten up some of those lines. You could use a thin, really thin marker to do this, and then fatten that up. Just kind of whatever floats your boat. But I thought we'd do something a little different. Like, you don't always have to have a stamp for that, right? Or the other option is print something out on your computer. So if you have a font that you really like, print it out on your computer. Okay? All right, we are going to bump up our hello circle. So let's put some 3D foam adhesive. Let me grab my non-stick scissors. And we're going to put on one piece there. And we have a piece there. Is this one going to fit? Can I make it fit without having to snip it? Yes. Perfect. Okay. Peel off the backer paper. Okay. And then all we have to do is we just, you know what? We still have to paint. Oh my goodness. I forgot that. Let's go do that. Stick this just somewhere. I'm going to stick it to my light. I forgot to do the painting. I almost forgot. Okay, so putting stuff aside here. So there's all kinds of paint palettes on the market and mats and things like that, but sometimes you just don't need all those tools. You don't need to spend the money. All I did to create my own mat was taken like a half piece of letter-sized paper, and laminated it. You could take this to your local print shop and have it laminated. Okay. You don't have to have it. And there's self-laminating sheets that you can buy too. They work. So I'm just gonna, we're using Abandoned Coral Distress Oxide. You can use whatever you have at home. Just a tiny bit of water. And then just load up that paintbrush. So our circle is this big. So I kind of know, like, I don't have to paint underneath it. And this is not wet enough. There we go. So you can test it. So put down your paint, and this is all I did. I just kind of made a circle, making sure to go larger than the circle we're putting down. Okay, load that paint, and you don't need a lot of this. You don't have to paint in the center because we're just covering it up anyway. Can't believe I almost forgot this. And I'm just trying to like make the outsides jagged. So just make sure that, I think that's gonna stick out. Where did I put my circle? You know what, guys? I just lost my circle. I don't even know where I put it. Wonder if it's under my doohickey. Nope. Nope. Wow, that was really smart. I don't even know where I put it. Well, that's kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Okay, I'm pulling out all my stuff here. I don't know where it went. Okay, wow, that's not good. I can't believe I misplaced it. I have no idea where it went. Huh. I guess we're making a new one. Okay. Well, this is what happens, and my desk isn't even that messy, so I don't understand where it's gone. Jesus, this has happened to you guys? Okay, here we go. We are doing a new circle because I don't know where the heck I put it. If you guys see it, or let me know here. Okay, new circle. Oh, this is kind of a crazy twist. Okay, we can set that aside to dry. Okay, there we go. I can't believe I lost that. I don't even know where the heck it would have gone. Okay, so we're going to write our hello one there first. Okay, brushing this off. I'm freehanding it this time. There we go. And again, we're just going to fatten up those. Oops. And you can choose which side. You could print it out on your computer and stick it down. You could... You got stickers. You can use stickers. But I just thought, oh, I'll use my handwriting for this one. Something a little different. I'm going to fatten that end. Just like that end. There we go. Well, isn't that special? Let's bring in my heat tool because this is still wet. Don't want it to be wet when I stick it down, otherwise it won't stick properly. Now, If you have anything wet, sometimes you can heat it from the other side too. It'll help make your paper flatter. Okay. There we go. You know what? Because there it is. That's hilarious. I remember I stuck it to my lamp. Okay. I'm special. Okay, so we want to position this centered, but also in the center of that paint. So if you're happy with your hello, now it's also had time to dry, so if there's any pencil marks or anything, you can get rid of those pencil marks too with just a good old eraser. Okay, and then we have our pretty little bloom. And just to stick it down a little extra fast, I'm going to use some glue dots because we're going to make a little thread nest. So I'm just going to take my large glue dot here and press it into the back of my bloom. And this is just so it has a little peak of silver. So this is just a silver metallic thread. And generally what I do is I'm going to do it around 3 fingers. Just wrap it a few times around your fingers and get a fairly good amount. A couple of times. And then I'm going to snip it. Okay. And then what you do is you kind of pull it out a little bit because you want it larger than your bloom because you want it to stick out. Okay, and you just stick your mess, your little nest, and then you kind of doctor it. So if there's something that's sticking out maybe a little too far, you bring it back. You can put a little bit more adhesive on the back of it if you need to. And then any of like the ends, because like there's a loose end, you can go and make further loops by just making loops and then sticking it back to that glue dot. It's a great use of glue dots. And then make sure that you make any loops where there are no loops, if that makes any sense. Like there's very little loops right here, so we're gonna bend this little baby back. And then sometimes if these are hanging, you can always trim. We got another loose end here, which needs to be I don't think this is not going to show, so I'm just going to clip those ends. And of course this string is weird because it's actually like wrapped, so sometimes my scissors don't like it, so I'll bring in my Tim Holtz ones that can pretty much cut anything. So there's a really funky loop here, and you can bring it back into. There we go. Okay, straight ends. Then what I like to do is put more glue on this. So you can put another glue dot, or you can go with your liquid glue as well. And I'd give it a good amount. So I'm not only going to trap those threads, but it's also going to squish through them. Okay. And then you find kind of your sweet spot on your bloom. And you're going to squish it down. And hopefully not squish the center like I just did. And I got glue everywhere. There you go, good old microfiber cloth. And I tend to do my leaves after, because then I can put them kind of where I want them to stick out. Okay, and you can kind of put them under wherever. Because I like that leaf because it's got those extra little points to it. little glue on this little fella. And he can squeak in there too. There we go. Okay. Put this aside. Let's make a card base. This is my glue. Glue everywhere today, guys. My camera's cockeyed, isn't it? Alright. Good old bone folder, because I already have my pre-scored. Okay. And this time, just because my bloom is wet, I am going to use some wet glue instead of using my tape runner. Okay, and then center it up. I got glue boogies on my thumb. The nice thing about wet glue is that if it's not quite centered, you got a minute, 2 minutes to get it all finangled in its spot too. All right, and that 'tis it. So, another fun use of dyes. Don't forget about using your inks. You can use Copics, colored cardstock, pattern papers, whatever you want with these. And have lots of fun with some splatter, because sometimes splatter just adds that perfect touch. You can try metallic paints. If you're using dark paper, use a white or a silver paint, just kind of whatever makes your heart happy. And that's really a really simple card. You could probably make these make a few at a time, because the dies don't take up a lot of time and it's easy peasy. So thanks for joining me today, guys. Like always, I'm going to pick somebody who made a comment today, and one of you is going to get a card from today's live. So, hi Karen, I see you there. Thanks Jenny and Beth for sticking around. I hope you guys have a great Sunday, and I'll see you next weekend. Bye, guys.